Hi YouTube, Unkert here. In this Python basics video, I want to talk about comments, user input, and formatting strings in Python. So let's create a new Python file and let's call this comments underscore user input and format strings. And we'll have a .py extension at the end of that. Okay, so in Python we can make single line comments with a hashtag, so we can do a single line comment. Okay, we can also do a multiple line comment with 3 quotes here, and this is a multiple line comment. And in this video I think I want to create a program that squares a number, so maybe I'll make a comment about that. So this program will take in user input and square a number. Okay. It will demonstrate format or demonstrate the use of format strings. Okay. So that's a multiple line comment. Now both of these comments will be ignored by the interpreter, so none of this will appear in the console when we run this. Okay, so if I'm going to make this program, I should probably tell the user I'm going to make this program. So I'm going to print this program will take in an integer and square it. Okay, and then we'll just print, basically like a line of equal signs here just to make it look decent. And maybe we'll print even a space in between here just to kind of format this. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take in the number, and to get user input we're going to use input. So we're going to say num equals input, and we'll say enter an integer. Now there's going to be something else that we need to do here. But I'm going to show you what error we get when we try and do this. So we're going to do a print and say your number squared is, and then we'll do plus, and we'll do num, and we'll use the exponentiation here, num asterisk asterisk 2 to square it. And you can see that my IDE is giving me a warning, but let's try and run this anyways. All right, so we'll run this with Python 3 and then the name of the file, which was comments, user input and format strings. And so it starts, this program will take in an integer and square it. Okay, enter an integer, we'll do 5. And then we get a type error. So what we have is an unsupported operand type for asterisk, asterisk, or pow. So we're trying to use a string, which is what is being taken in, and use it as an integer. So we can't really do that unless we make sure that it's an integer. And we can do that by wrapping this input with int here. Okay. Okay. We could also create a separate variable and wrap it with int as well. But now if we run this, and you'll see up here my IDE is now giving me a green check mark that no problems are found, so that's a good sign. All right, so this program will take in an integer and square it. So enter an integer, we'll say 5. And now we get another type error. You can only concatenate a string, not an int to a string, okay? So even though it got past the IDE, we now, when we have to print this out, using this method, we have to put it as a string, okay? So sometimes even the smartest of IDEs can't catch this kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this in a string, okay? And now let's try this, all right? So we're going to go up, I'm going to run the program, enter an integer, I like 5. Okay, so now it works. The number squared is 25. Cool. So yeah, that was good. I mean, we were able to print this out. We had to change it back to a string. But with printing it out and adding these plus signs to concatenate a string to these other strings, that's what's called concatenation, it's a little bit effort. So we can do something called using format strings. So I'm going to show you the modern method and also show you an older method of doing it. So what I'm going to do here is use an F string. So I'm going to do print F and then the double quotes. And I can say your number squared is, and then I can do in between two curly braces, I can just pass in the variable and square it right in there and do that, okay? And now if I run this, okay, let's do a different number. Let's do 7. And so it just runs perfectly fine. Your number squared is 49. So I didn't have to change it back to a string. It basically knows it's going to be, it knows what it needs to do to get this to work. So the F string kind of does the work for you, okay? Now, in older versions of Python, before Python 3.6, I believe, you had to use a different method when you were using these format strings. So let me show you the older method as well in case you come across any legacy code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a print here, and I'm going to say your number squared is, and I'll do curly braces like this, put a period afterwards just for punctuation. Then right after the quotes, I'm going to do dot format, okay? And then I'm going to do num, and I'll square my number right here, okay? So your number squared is that, okay? So this is the older method before Python 3.6, okay? So what I'm going to do now is we'll go up and we'll run this. Let's enter in 9, so we should get 81. So your number squared is 81. So this is with the dot format method. So the earlier versions of Python 3 would use this method. So you may encounter that in legacy code. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, could you give it a like and subscribe to the channel? Thanks for watching.